Okay, and we are now live with another Tech Talks. And today we are talking about a scheduling helper tool called Calendly. Because I'm sure anybody that watches or attends our Tech Talks has plenty of firsthand experience about trying to schedule one-on-one meetings with students, either ones that you initiate or ones that the students initiate. It's a pain in the butt. And Calendly, I think, in the right circumstances, can make that process a lot easier for everybody, a lot more automated for you, more approachable for the students. So what I was going to do was I was going to share my screen and basically walk through the entire process of using Calendly, because it's a really surprisingly, shockingly simple service and tool. There's not a lot to it. It's very intuitive, very user-friendly, very easy to just get started immediately. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let me, okay, share my screen. I'll share that screen right there. Okay, so I am just going to start by going to calendly.com. And if you have never used this before, and you click on the My Account button, if you've never used it before, it's going to prompt you to log in either using a Gmail account, because what it wants to do is it wants to connect to your existing calendar, whether that's a Google Calendar, like a lot of people have, or in our case, your Outlook calendar. So it's actually going to ask you to put in your CCS email address, and it's going to ask permission to connect with your Outlook calendar. Once it does that, then it's ready to go. So I've already done that step just because it happens as soon as you create your account. Again, this part of it is completely free. We'll get to the paid features later on, but for now, we're just going to look at the free stuff. So when you create that account, it'll do a couple things for you. First, it does ask you to connect to your Outlook account. And then it asks you to put in, to make yourself a little custom address. So in my case, it's calendly.com/Caleb-Hutchins. You can make that whatever you want, as long as it hasn't already taken. But that sort of becomes your dashboard for your meeting forms, your meeting request forms. But right now mine is completely empty because I haven't created anything yet. So now I'm going to create one. I'm going to click on this create button, and we're going to create an event type. And again, I'm going to stick to the free stuff because there are other features that you can do with the paid version. But I think for most people, this tool is going to be best when you are scheduling and creating opportunities for one-on-one meetings with students, basically setting up office hours or by appointment meetings. So I'm just going to do a one-on-one event type, and we're going to call it office hours. We can add a location if you want it to be an in-person meeting. You can also connect to your Zoom account if you want. Mine's not connected yet. You could do that if you wanted, but I'm not going to worry about that part right now because I could just put my Zoom meeting room link right in the description part.
And Caleb, while you're doing that, looks like Jenny Spencer has a question in the chat. The free accounts only let you have one, maybe two events at the same time, right?
The free account, I believe, lets you have one event type, which is one of the reasons I say for the free version, this is really best if you just want to use it for setting up your office hours or your student consultations. If you did get the paid version, then you can create multiple event types and you could have a whole menu of options. You could have one for office hours and one for group meetings and one for department meetings if you wanted to pay for it and do all that. The free version, yes, only allows you to have one event type at a time. So in this case, I'm just making it my office hours. And then I would put my Zoom link here just so that they have it. And then I'm going to hit next. Now, once we do that, it gives us some options for when and for how long people can book events with you, book times. So the first thing is date range. So I could either set a specific date range, for example, from the start of the quarter to the end of the quarter is my date range. Or it could just be indefinitely, anytime into the distant future. Or if I'm, I don't have my poop in a group that far ahead of time, I don't know what I'm going to do 2 months from now. So let's just say I want to make it 14. I just want 2 weeks in the future. People can book me out for the next 2 weeks. And then that 14 days in the future keeps rolling forward. So I can keep this open for as long as I want. And anytime somebody uses this link, they can always book out with me up to 2 weeks in advance. The next thing is the duration. How long of a block of time do I want people to sign up for? So in this case, let's do 45 minutes, just so I give myself some space between meetings. I'm not just overwhelmed. I have time to go use a bathroom and get a snack and get a drink and all those things. How do you want to offer your availability for this event type? So you have two options here. Use an existing schedule. What that means is it will look at your existing Outlook calendar and it will use that to determine what open time slots you have available. And that stays updated live. So as you add calendar events to your calendar, it closes off those portions of this event in Calendly that people can choose from. Or I could set custom hours and I could say, I am going to block off office hours from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Whatever custom schedule I want to set, those are the only bookable hours that this event will allow. But in this case, I'm just going to use my existing schedule and say, hey, if I don't have something already scheduled, then I'm willing to take an appointment with people. And then what schedule do you want to use for this event type? Oh, Donna has a question. Do you know if it recognizes tentative times? Donna, that's a great question. And I don't know the answer, but we will find out shortly because I'm going to actually make this go live and have Nick test it out.
Okay, good. Thanks.
We'll find out. You can also build in buffer times. If you want to have it say, yes, I have this set to my whole schedule. So anytime I'm available, this is available to book me, but I want to make sure that I have a 30-minute buffer time between meetings so that it doesn't accidentally book me for back-to-back meetings. I can always be sure that it will give me some space in between things. So that gives you a little bit of protection from Calendly kind of getting out of control, right? That I could see that as a fear. If you open this up to all your students and all your classes, you might worry that, oh no, they're going to book 5 hours straight with me and I'm going to be trapped in this endless cycle of meetings. Well, if you do this, then you can prevent that from happening. You can set additional rules. I'm not going to go into that because they get more complicated. They're things like every other day and that sort of thing. We're not going to worry about that right now, just the basics. And then I'm going to hit next. So you can include additional options, but these are all like part of the paid product. Like there's a collect payments. Like if you use Calendly professionally, like you were a hairdresser or something and you wanted to use this for appointments, has all these other features that we are not concerned with. So now we're good to go. If I go back to my home, let's see if it just takes me there. Now I have this office hours booking page available. And I have this link, this shareable link. So I'm going to click on that and copy it. And I'm going to put it in the chat because I'm going to ask my good friend Nick here to start sharing his screen. And we're going to see what it looks like from the student point of view, because we're going to pretend like I just put that booking or that Calendly link in my Canvas course. I put it in on the home page and I said, for office hours or to set up a one-on-one meeting with me, click on this Calendly link and pick your time. So let's say we've done that. Let's say Nick is in my class. And let's say that Nick has clicked on that link.
Perfect. Yeah, let's get this going. So this is actually kind of fun because this is my first time being on the receiving end of a Calendly invite.
Well, then this is going to be great because this is exactly how a student would experience it, right?
Yeah, I've got that opportunity to be kind of the naive individual. So this is awesome. So I guess we're coming in. I can see our context over on the left. And that's, I imagine you'd put that Zoom link there and that would come into the calendar invite. And now I can go over to the calendar. I can see a lot of these are grayed out. Those are the times that Caleb's schedule wouldn't allow me to. So
And
weekends.
part of that is so part of it is because I had it set to business days only, and because I had it set to only 2 weeks out. I didn't want people scheduling something 3 months from now.
Perfect. So let's just choose a random day. Let's try. Do you have a particularly busy day so we can try that tentative versus?
Yeah, try Tuesday the 15th.
All right. So I'm jumping in. So yeah, I can see I've only got 10, 10:30, 11, and 11:30 that I can schedule with you.
So the student or the person using this can't see what my schedule is. You don't know why I'm not available these other times. You just know that these are the time slots that are currently open on my calendar.
So do you have anything on your calendar tentatively for any of those times that are available?
You know what? That's a great question. So give me just a second because I'm going to go take a peek on my calendar, which you will not be able to see right now.
Well, and while Caleb's doing that, I might just snoop around to see. Oh yeah, 16th. Not a lot of time I can get with you.
Try the one on the 16th, Nick, because I do have a tentative event scheduled at 11 o'clock.
Okay.
16th.
Yeah. So as a student, I would click on the date. Okay. I'd probably check my own calendar. Yep. Cool.
Perfect. So yeah, because I do have something tentatively scheduled on my calendar on the 16th for 11 to, I think, 12. And then we had that built-in 30-minute buffer. So it won't let him book until 12:30. And then I have other events scheduled later in the afternoon. So it won't. So right now it's just giving him that narrow window, but that's when I'm available on the 16th.
So I click schedule. Looks like it has sent me a calendar invite directly to my email address. I just heard the ding.
Mm-hmm. And then you heard another ding because I just got an email from Calendly. So let's see, maybe I should share from my point of view again.
Yeah, because it should look the same on your end as it does for me potentially, but it's just asking me to accept the invite within my Outlook calendar. So if you use the student Bigfoot email, it would go through that. If you use Gmail, it would all be the same.
So on my end, well, I guess I don't need to share it because then you'll see all my things, but two things happened on my end. One is I got a notification email saying, Nick has booked an appointment with you at 12:30 on Wednesday the 16th. And then it also automatically put a calendar event into my calendar with the details that Nick added to that, saying, Nick is the one that wants to join me at this time. Here his email address. And it has already added it to my calendar. So now I'm ready to go. On Wednesday before 12:30, I'm going to get a notification saying, okay, Nick is ready for this meeting. And then we would both join in Zoom, which is what we had set up, because I would have included the actual Zoom room meeting link. Or if it was like a face-to-face meeting, it would be my office number. However, we wanted to schedule that in advance, we would do it.
And Caleb,
yeah,
I might have missed it, but was there a spot or maybe Nick for you to put in the reason why you wanted to meet? I might have missed that.
Yeah, there was when Nick clicked on the button, it asked for 3 things. It asked for his name, his email address, and then there was a message spot. And I think you just type test or something. But maybe what I would do as the instructor is when I share this Calendly link, I would tell students in the message bot part, tell me what you want to meet about. You know, what questions do you have? What topic do we need to talk about? And then I'll know. It'll show up in my calendar, in the calendar event. It'll have that description. It'll say, Nick is meeting at this time, and this is what he wrote.
Perfect.
And honestly, that's kind of all there is to it. There's not, like I said, there are other paid features that are available if you want to spend the money. But for the free account, that's pretty much what there is. It's very straightforward. It's very user-friendly, and it's very automated. And Jenny, it looks like you have a question.
Yes, I do. We actually, I really like Calendly, except for the name. I think it's really hard to to say.
Calendly is, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I find that I need more events. So like I have one for advising,
Mhm.
and I have one for if I do student conferences and then office hours. And so we looked into getting a paid account for members of our department.
Yeah.
And we were told by IT that they're not no longer purchasing it because it's not accessible. There's some features in Calendly that are not accessible, so the school has stopped purchasing it or allowing us to purchase that. So I don't know if what the accessibility issues are, and I'm just wondering because I have the free account too, but now I'm wondering like should I not even be using the free account? And directed me towards bookings,
Yeah.
which
So
has similar things. But so I don't know if you know any kind of updates on why the school has sort of stopped using it. I'm wondering if I should even be using the free version of it.
yeah, so I'm not aware of any accessibility problems with it because it's all built in HTML. All those links and buttons are just text. So from an accessibility standpoint, I don't perceive there as being any problems. That being said, because it is not a product that the school pays for overall, we don't have a site license or anything for it. IT is not going to support that on a one-on-one basis. And like you said, they now have access to Microsoft Bookings, which is basically Microsoft's version of what Calendly does. It's built into our whole Office 365 system. And I'm just reading through in the emails because Laura shared a link in here. Give me just a second. Okay, so the message that she sent from IT in here says that IT will be retiring the Calendly app because it doesn't currently meet Washington policy standard. Oh, interesting. It says groups that this change may impact include student services group, academic advisors, advising groups, peer services, and counselors. Okay, interesting. And I think the top of that said bookings, appointment bookings for the public. So I don't know if that makes a difference or not. If it's public facing for things like registration and academic advising and student services, or if it matters for one-on-one meetings with instructors. But all that being said, I guess we'll have to do a little bit of research and see what we can find out about that. Bookings is something that you can request through IT now. But it doesn't seem to me that it is 100% ready to roll out for everyone. Nick and I have been testing out bookings on our end, and not all the features seem to work correctly yet. Is that about right, Nick?
Yeah, from where we last left it, I was actually unable to even request access to bookings. So I don't know if other faculty would get stuck in that trap. And especially if you're just trying to do something like set up some office hours. I mean, if you don't even have access to it, it can be difficult for sure.
I just asked for a bookings account and it took me a while to get it and I had to follow up and, are you working on this? And I got it. You can't set it up yourself. They have to set it up for you. Right. And then I just didn't have the time to sit there and learn it. It was not as intuitive as this. And I just kept getting notification after notification, even though, and so finally I took it off of my email as an option in my signature area. So I haven't messed with it anymore, but it didn't seem very friendly. And you have to have Teams open all of the time.
Yeah, so that's the other part. I think Bookings, because it's a Microsoft product, really wants to integrate with Microsoft Teams. And if you already use Teams as part of your workflow, then that's probably fine. But if you don't, then that is kind of a barrier there. Laura, it looks like you had some experience with bookings as well. Would you be willing to share a little bit with that? If you want, no pressure. We don't hear, I don't know if you're talking, Laura. It says you're unmuted, but I don't hear anything. Well, anyway, yeah, so bookings is interesting. It appears to me, my perception is it's still sort of a under development sort of with Microsoft, which unfortunately is kind of a thing that Microsoft often does. They roll out products, especially if they are competing with existing products like Calendly. They will roll it out first and then they'll finish it later. I've noticed that in more than one occasion. I kind of feel like bookings is in that same category right now. I suspect it's going to get better and going to get more user-friendly and more reliable. And I suspect that IT is going to want to roll it out more, especially from reading that little statement that Laura shared from IT's statement. It sounds like, especially when it comes to public-facing meeting tools, that makes a lot of sense that you would want to use the one that they are recommending and the one that they are supporting. When it comes to individual instructors using tools on their own, quite honestly, instructors have quite a lot of academic freedom when it comes to that. I'm going to do some research on that accessibility concern because I had not heard that. So that's really interesting, and I'm going to look into that, and maybe we can share more about that later.
Oh, Caleb?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I finally
Oh, there we go. I can hear you now.
I've got 3 different things attached here, and they, Anyway, when I tried to go over to bookings, when I first got that email, it's like, okay, I'll just go ahead and go over there. It's a nightmare. It was, the learning curve on it is awful, and it integrates with everything. You have to keep Teams open all the time.
Yeah.
And it's just, to me, it's clunky and not very user-friendly. The students had a little trouble getting through sometimes or understanding it, even though it should, and some of our faculty use it and they're really happy with it, but I'm not one of them. I was really kind of irritated that they were going to take away Calendly because it works. It's, it's a really nice thing. So I was hoping you guys had good news, but it's not sounding like it.
Well, yeah, that's really helpful to hear, Laura. Thank you for sharing that. There are some departments that have been using bookings kind of as a department, and I don't know if anybody is here from any of those groups. But yeah, again, my suspicion is there's 2 parts of this. One is they are worried about publicly facing accessibility, which is super important. We want to make sure that anything that is publicly facing and available to everybody is going to be as accessible as possible. And again, I'm not aware of any accessibility problems with Calendly that I've seen or read about. So we're going to look into that part. But again, the other part is because we are a Microsoft campus, IT wants to use Microsoft products whenever they are available to fill a particular space in services. So, that part doesn't really surprise me. We are not IT and we don't do all of this software support. So what we do in our office is we share tools that people are interested in and curious about and already using successfully, and we let people look into them for themselves.
This is Joan Wisman. So you would recommend, I'm using Calendly just for my office hours.
Yeah.
And it was easy to set up, the usability. So we can continue to use it until, because I just have the free, I don't have the additional. Yeah. And then the other question, the only thing that I've had is students will sign up and I don't know where that goes to because they keep saying, oh, it wasn't on my calendar. It wasn't on my calendar. So it's hard for me to know when they sign up. Do they sign up and it's on their personal Gmail, or is it on or in Canvas? I'd love to see one linked up to Canvas, but I think that's.
Yeah, so it doesn't link directly to Canvas. what the student sees depends on what email address they enter when they book an appointment with you.
Got it.
If they use their personal Gmail account, then it will send a calendar invite to their Gmail. And then all they have to do on that end is click accept the invitation, and it goes into their Gmail calendar. If they're using a different email, it's going to just send them a message with the calendar event file as an attachment. And then they can open it in whatever calendar they want, whether they're on an Apple product and they use iCal, or if they have Microsoft Outlook on their computer, they can always add that calendar event to their calendar by just clicking on that.
Okay.
But that being said, we know that sometimes students use email addresses that they don't always have access to. A lot of times students, when they first sign up for classes, they use their parents' email address because they may not have a personal email that they're used to checking on a regular basis. So I think sometimes that is an issue that comes up. They put in their name and they put in an email address, and they put in an email address that they don't personally check very often.
So do you recommend that maybe in the instructions we say you'll get a meeting invite, put it on the calendar that you use?
Yeah, that would be a great idea. If you were going to use this tool, you might put a little note saying, yeah, use this to book a meeting with me. Make sure that you have access to the email address you sign up with. Make sure you open up the calendar invite that it sends you so that you put it on your calendar. Something like that would be very helpful to students, I think.
And somebody said, check your junk folder. That'd be the other thing. So
yeah, that's a good point.
Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully that helps. So yeah, I love it when things don't go entirely to plan because it's kind of exciting. So we're going to do some research on that accessibility question with Calendly, because honestly, this is the first I've heard of that. We'll do some research in the video description of this Tech Talk session on YouTube. If we find anything relevant, we'll put it in there. And maybe I'll make a little update in the faculty development Canvas page as well, if we have anything to share. And we will go from there. And, again, I am fairly hopeful that Bookings is going to improve as a Microsoft product over time, because that's usually what they do. They push something out, they release it, they iterate and improve on it over time, and it gets a little bit better and a little bit easier, and the integration gets a little bit better. And I think probably Bookings will get there eventually. Doesn't seem like it's there yet from our perspective. Well, Nick, Ben, Jerry, anything else you have in mind here? Or I think we've covered pretty much everything there is to cover about Calendly for now.
I think we hopefully can answer some more questions as it progresses, and we can always keep our fingers crossed that Bookings is going to work the way we want it to, and we'll just kind of keep moving in that direction, right?
Yeah, sorry, I missed most of the conversation. I do remember in 2021, Calendly, it said they were finalizing their VPAT, which is their documentation on accessibility. And so,
So
I think there's been progress made. I couldn't say where they're at right now.
yeah, that's good to know. So it sounds like hopefully the accessibility concern that originally existed with Calendly either has been fixed or is being worked on. And that's something we'll do some research on and find out more. And I'll update that in YouTube and in FactDev as we know more about that. But again, because of our position at CCS, we do not either directly endorse products or always support them directly. We just share tools that people are interested in and curious about, and we let faculty do their research and try things out for themselves. I would love to hear people's experience if they research this tool further, and we will keep people up to date. And at some point in the future, if and when we can get Bookings working, we'll probably look into doing a Bookings training as well, but we're not quite there yet. And with that, we are out of time for today. Next week's Tech Talks is, what is the next one? Is it homepages?
Yeah, I think we're doing part 2, doing some low code, high code design, I guess, in our perspectives. So yeah, it should be fun building off our first session, hopefully giving our advanced users a little bit more to chew on.
Designing better homepages for your Canvas courses. All right. Well, thanks for the very interesting discussion today. Hopefully that was interesting to you as well. And we will see you all later. And I think I just saw something in the chat.